Hey, what's going on, everybody? Recently, my wife and I returned from a trip from Cozumel, and I've been posting up some videos trying to show what our dives looked like while we were there. And one of my friends commented, "Where's the reef?" It's kind of a legitimate question. When you look at the videos, you say there's not much of a reef there. Recently, back in the fall, the government actually closed these reefs that we were diving on due to white line disease. This is caused by pollution and climate change. Things that some people just don't want to admit are happening are destroying our reefs. And it's very easy to see when we're looking at the reef. Unfortunately, it's not just those things, though. Us as divers, as a community, are causing a lot of problems. And if we could change our behaviors above water and below water, we can maybe help save these reefs. So I put together a little bit of a video here just from the one dive, kind of showing what was going on and some of the things that basically are showing how we are causing damage. And I'm just going to play that video now and we'll just talk about it as it goes. So in this video you can see off on the left hand side there's a whole bunch of people that are right down on the bottom. Why do they need to be that close? They have signs up at the beaches saying stay at least 1.5 meters away from the reef. They're not doing that. Before our dive started, we were asked nothing. Didn't ask about our experience or anything. Did we have our certification card? Good to go. Nobody asked our experience in overhead environments, training, anything like that that would be useful if they're wanting to take us into a situation like that. Unfortunately, a lot of people that are going out on these dives just don't have the training or experience they're required to do what they're having us do. So this one you can see that we're now moving inside an overhead environment. I'm willing to bet the vast majority of people that go into these dives have zero experience in an overhead environment. My wife and I were going through, and if you just look at the bottom of these areas, they're scattered with corals. This isn't from environmental change. This isn't from pollution. This is from us as divers basically touching and running into the corals. We're destroying it underwater. You can see a nice angelfish here swimming through, but other than that, there's not a whole lot of marine life inside these areas, but we're going in through them. Did anyone ask us? Did we want to go in there? Did we want to see what it was like? No. And it didn't matter which tour operator we were with, they all do this. They all take you through. This was actually a fairly large area that we were in, but you can see here, it's all just destroyed and on the ground. That's not coming back. That's not going to survive. And it's our actions that are causing that. It has nothing to do with anyone else or pollution. And if that's just in an enclosed area where we can see it, how about out on the reef? Up top, where you can't notice whether it's us or sun bleaching or anything else. You also have to look at the way the people are diving. Throughout this video, you're going to see a lot of using hands. I remember back in the day when I went to the Bahamas and people were asking about bringing gloves for their dive trip to the Bahamas, and I was asked, why? Why do you need gloves? And the response, well, I don't want to cut my hands. You're not touching anything. Don't need gloves because you're not touching anything. If you're touching stuff, you're killing it. Therefore, keep your hands to yourself, touch your equipment, and nothing else. You're going to see through here on the bottom, once again, way into the area, and there's just corals destroyed everywhere. You're also going to see some dangling equipment coming from us. This is part of using rental equipment. Our SPG is just kind of hanging there because there aren't clips. They aren't provided. We shove them through our BC to kind of hold them up out of the way. But if you didn't have that, they were just dangling. Like the person up at the front, you can see their flashlights dangling. Everything's dangling and damaging. If you're dragging an anchor behind you, you're going to destroy things as you're going. As you can see, my wife here, she's using a frog kick. That helps a lot. Overhead environment. If you're not used to it, go out and take a course. Peak Performance Buoyancy. Take something like Intro to Tech course before you're doing stuff like this, so you can learn how to properly maintain your buoyancy, how to kick without causing the damage we're seeing right here. Because this is unfortunately us. I was lucky back when I started diving that I had instructors and friends that pushed me to be a better diver, not to touch things, to use proper fin techniques. You don't need your hands for diving other than controlling your equipment. So as we go, you'll just see more and more. Right here, you're seeing that the corals and things that are on the ground aren't faded out white. They're not bleached out. So they're freshly knocked down and killed. That's inside an overhead environment. That isn't the environment. That isn't pollution. That's us. And as we come out of this overhead environment, you're going to see that there's so much more to see. If you're up on the top of the reef, you can see so much more, and yet it's still dying out. Stay away from the corals. You don't need to be in close. You don't need to grab onto something. We were told before one of our dives, if there's a current and you're getting separated, go to the bottom and grab onto something. Whatever you're grabbing onto, you're killing. So that shouldn't be the instructions on how to deal with it. Learn how to dive. Get some practice before you're coming out to places like this, where there's big coral heads. Now with this video, I want you to watch the right-hand side of the screen. You're going to see this diver. He's going to go along, and he's going to push into that sponge coral. And he's going to hung up on it, and he just push, until he's through, destroying it. So this is a person that described themselves as an advanced diver that goes out and helps their local instructor, and yet this is what they're doing. Now in this area, I want you to also keep an eye on everything dangling, all the hands being used to the people at the front. And as they're exiting that little overhead environment area, you're going to see it lighten up. I want you to watch the diver at the very front. It's kind of hard to see. They're going to be a little off to the left of where my wife is. But you're going to see that they have zero control over their body or their buoyancy. And that's what's causing the damage. They're running into everything out there. They're getting their video, they're getting their pictures, but there's no thought of what's going to be there for the next person. When the next generation comes along, these reefs aren't going to be there. They're going to be destroyed unless we make drastic changes to our behavior, like I said, above and below the water. Below the water, we can control. Get some training, do some whatever needs to be done. Get some time in the water. Here you see the person rolls over on their back, slams into the ground. How do you do that? How do you do that as a diver? Get out, get experience. I've been diving for 19 years, and I can say right when I started diving, I wouldn't have been diving like that. Because my instructors instilled in me the need to stay away from the ground, control yourself, and get the time in the water you need before you go and do stuff like this. And unfortunately, a lot of people are resort divers. That's the only time they dive. Find a local pool. Find a local lake that you can go and dive at and get experience. Because if you don't, you're going to kill the reef faster. We can turn it around, but not the way we're doing it right now. I hope this kind of helps out and you guys kind of understand what's going on with those reefs out there.